Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxings.com, and here I am back with another white box product from HTC. This time inside here we have the HTC EVO 3D, which was announced a little while ago, and we've actually carried a little bit of information on the site about already, but we just thought we'd have a little unbox. So I'm going to come back to that in just a second. And obviously, being a white box product, it's not full retail. This is an early or pre-release, pre-retail if you like, so just a review model. Then here we have wired headset with 4-pole 3.5mm jack. There is an inline microphone with push button, and so that has play, pause, answer and hang up, and then skip on either side. No volume control though on this one. And then the in-ear headphones themselves, which are reasonably good. The HTC headphones are actually quite good. Along with that, you do have the foam ear covers and the clip for clipping onto clothing. We then have the charger. Here I have a European USB style charger, which obviously when it comes full retail in the UK, it'll have the the UK version of that. And last of all, we have a USB to micro USB sync charge cable. Obviously works with that USB charger, or alternatively connects to your PC. So let's take a look at the handset itself. Let's start on the top. At the front we have a fairly large speaker area. Next to that, as you can see here, is a little flashing LED there, which is an indicator LED because the handset did arrive to me powered on. Next to that, we then have a forward-facing camera for doing video conferencing, which Skype is now supported on the Android handsets. And on the other side is an ambient light sensor and/or proximity sensor. The display is a 4.3-inch QHD display. That's 540 by 960 pixels. Capacitive touchscreen, multi-touch obviously supported there as well. And as the name suggests, it is a 3D. We won't be able to demonstrate 3D features, obviously recording on a single camera, but we'll talk about it as we come along. Underneath, the touch-sensitive capacitive buttons underneath: home, menu, back, and search. Looking to the left-hand side, we have the USB connector or micro USB connector for sync and charge. Then swinging around to the bottom, there's a hole there which is for an eyelet, or it's an eyelet for a phone charm or a lanyard, and a tiny hole there which is the actually the microphone. On the right hand side, the largest button here, as you can see, let's look at it this way around. This is actually the camera button, dedicated camera button. Really like that, the fact that it's there. In fact, there's a dedicated camera button for starters, and it is a decent size, so it does mean that using it for taking your photos is a lot easier. I don't like actually doing it through a touchscreen, so it's great that HTC have included that. And then there's a big switch here which switches between 2D and 3D camera modes, because on the back here we have the dual 3D or dual cameras, so they're dual 5-megapixel autofocus cameras with dual LED flash as well. And when you are in 2D mode, you use just the single top camera, and in 3D mode you use the two to create a stereoscopic image. Up and down volume controls here as well. On the top, power button, and then the headphone connector there, 3.5mm headphone connector to use the supplied and wired headset, or indeed to use your own 3.5mm headphones. Back cover pops off like so. It's fairly flimsy plastic back, which is kind of unusual. HTC's build quality, I would say, is normally a bit better than that, so that's a little bit of a surprise that is so thin. But underneath we have, batteries in place already. I'm going to pull that out. It's a 1730 mAh battery, so that's quite a high capacity. And then we have space here for the micro SDHC memory card, and also the SIM card just goes in this direction here as well, just under here. So micro SD card this way and SIM card that way. Pop the battery back in, and then the back cover back on, and it will just snap shut. So once the back cover's in place, it's no big deal. I mean, it's not flimsy once it's on, and the back has this textured finish to it as well, which means it just does feel quite nice in the hand. Fairly weighty. Let me just power up. And while we wait for that to come on, let's talk about the rest of the spec. Quad band for GSM, tri-band for HSDPA. It's going to work pretty much anywhere when you take it abroad and when you're away on holiday or on business. It is 126mm from top to bottom, 65mm wide, and 12.1mm thick. It's quite a bit thicker than some of the other handsets out there, but we can put that down to the dual cameras, larger battery, and obviously that we've got the 3D technology in there as well. We've got a 1 gigabyte of memory, so 1 gigabyte of RAM, and 1 gigabyte of available ROM. There is 4 gig of ROM, but only 1 gig of that ROM is available to the user. Have built-in GPS, supporting AGPS, Bluetooth 3.0 with A2DP and EDR support, the Wi-Fi supporting 802.11b, and N standards, and also DLNA support, Wi-Fi hotspot and all that kind of stuff. FM radio supports RDS as well, which is great. And the microSD HC memory card, the microSD HC memory slot supports up to 32 gig as well. 720p video recording with a single or dual camera, 720p video recording at 30 frames a second, actually in both 3D and 2D modes, so that's pretty cool as well. 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, which is dual core as well. So let's just power that back on. And obviously it's warning me about the battery, so we've got HTC Sense 3.0 and Android Froyo 2.3, Android 2.3.3. The unlock ring that we've seen before, which is now pretty commonplace. So we'll just skip through these things to actually get set up. And we'll set up our Wi-Fi network. We go and connect. So we've got the fairly standard QWERTY keyboard. I don't know if as often is the case, no, the accelerometer doesn't work once we're in setup. So there we go, we connect and obtain an IP address, and we are connected. So we go to next, allow, and agree to the location and all the other stuff. There we go, privacy statement, which we just have to review, and we'll accept. Now we can set up our accounts for Google, Exchange Active Sync, Mail, Watch if you've got an HTC Watch account for doing video rentals or indeed purchasing video over the air, Facebook, Flickr and Twitter. I'm going to skip all those just for the moment and take all the defaults. Just want to get into the operating system so we can actually look at the user interface. There we go. Okay, so we start up with a very familiar looking interface. Anybody that's seen an HTC product before will immediately recognise this. So we've got the time and location and the date. Show Me, which is basically like a tutorial. Android Market, Messages, Mail, Internet and Camera on the main screen. We have a number of screens we can swipe across, and we have the Google search with voice search and favourite people. So this can be effectively like speed dials here. We have My Location. And obviously I flicked that a bit too quickly, so it spun around, so go a bit more slowly. Basically this page is blank and it's just telling me how to add or change or rearrange the items there. Back to the other way, so like the HTC Sensation, the carousel rolls all the way around. You don't have to go from left to right, you can go carry on and going in one direction. So we're back to effectively page 1 on the left hand side. So this would be weather data, and then we have the HTC Messages and Friend Stream, which obviously isn't going to do anything just now because I haven't signed into any accounts. And then we're back to the center again, as with the HTC Sensation. Go back a second. The interface is kind of 3D, so there's a layering to it. So as we spin round, you'll see that there's on the side of the time there where it's a flip over. You've got a little bit of detail there with the different layers, and as you swing these out of the way, you've got different layers, as you can see there with the people. Just makes it a bit more interesting, and as you saw there, we can actually just flick through just because it's fun. We also have Leap View, which is the overview of all of the 7 panes that we have there, including all the widgets that we have on each one, which allows us to find the widget we're looking for. I think it's more gimmicky, to be honest with you. I know loads and loads of handsets do it. It's not just an HTC thing, but I'm not sure how useful that really is, to be honest. I tend not to lose track of my applications, but it's there anyway, so you can actually play with it. Every screen at the bottom, regardless of where you are, has the launcher, so all of the applications here, as you can see, fairly standard stuff for the most part. Facebook, the HTC flashlight, which uses the LED flash on the back, so actually be a torch, FM radio, HTC hub and lights. There's the location and latitude, the little peep application, which is HTC's Twitter app, and most of this stuff is pretty straightforward. We've seen this before. There's a task manager and weather, Twitter applications. I guess the only thing that's sort of slightly newer or more unusual is watch, which is only available on some select few of the HTC handsets just at the moment. But that's there. And from here in the middle we have the phone, so we can obviously dial numbers, pretty important for a phone. And then the button at the side allows us to actually do customization, so we can change the scene selection, which is pretty cool. So there's all these other scenes that we can use, as you can see here. We'll stick with the current one for now. Scenes are just like, you know, different themes really, and skins. Well, it's slightly different, but explain that a bit more differently. Scenes allow you to have different home screens for different purposes. So I might have this one for social, so that might have all my friends, contacts, Facebook and all that sort of stuff on the main screen. Then I have another one for work, which has world clock and my email and bits and pieces on it. And then travel might include things like you know, location, people, Google and all that sort of stuff there. So that allows you to actually rapidly change the home screen without having to edit it every time. So you can change each of these to have all of the widgets on there that you want for a particular purpose, and then quickly switch to another one that has it for a different purpose. So it's kind of a cool idea. Not particularly new, HTC have been doing it for a while, but it's nice that they've got it there and have been extending it a little bit each time. Skin is a theme pack, so you can actually just very quickly change the look and feel of these, and obviously with each of these we can download more, get more in the corner, so we can download additional skins and themes. Wallpaper, lock screen, all that stuff is pretty straightforward. We can add widgets and apps, shortcuts and folders, and change all the ringtones and notifications and all that sort of stuff there from that button as well. Again, we're going to go back into the dialer, or I should say into the applications with all the launcher, and let's go online. And rather than going to Google, we go to our site. There you go, tracymat.co.uk, and let's see how quickly that works for us. Loading pretty quickly. There we go, and we're nearly done. Page is virtually loaded, and then we can use our two fingers to zoom. We can obviously rotate. The display is incredibly clear, incredibly bright. Being QHD, it means that we've got quite a lot of room and quite a lot of real estate. 960 pixels in this direction. Yeah, it means that there's a lot of screen there to actually play with. So the text is rendered really crisp and cleanly. So even at the full screen, as I have it here, I can read the text no problem, despite the text being very small. It's totally readable. It's warning me about the battery. But obviously you can see the accelerometer in action there, and the zooming and feature. You know, it's working, you know, really quite well, as you would expect. It's a fast processor, so we'd expect that to be pretty good. Also in here, let's take a quick look at YouTube. Accept terms and conditions. Do a quick search for Leo D, being my YouTube alias, and I think that's not working. Let's try something else. Let's try Android Market. Next, sign in. So when we sign in here, now that we've actually passed the initial setup, we can use the keyboard in the landscape mode, so we'll do that. Here we go, and we've just signed into Android Market, so let's go back into there, let the market load. I'll accept terms and conditions. There we go. So pretty straightforward, Android Market, but we also have the added HTC stuff here, so it's HTC's recommended items. Let's go back there. HTC recommends. So it's all the stuff that HTC recommend. You can effectively get to this as well through the HTC Hub 2. So you've got your apps and games and everything else like that. That's pretty straightforward. And we can also do a search if you want to search for anything. That's again pretty straightforward. Notification area at the top is telling me that it needs to set the current time, and then quick settings here, so we can turn on and off Wi-Fi and the hotspots, Bluetooth, GPS, and so on. And we noticed at the top there we just saw another notification that there are updates available. That's obviously through Android Market. So there's a Twitter, Google Maps, and a ROM Manager update as well, which we won't bother to download just at the moment. We will just try YouTube one more time. Doing a search. And see if that comes up. There we go, works perfectly this time. So we can pick any of the videos that we've got here. The application is fairly standard. There we go, and it's given us actually a video, and which is actually an advert for HTC. But that's on there as well. But I mean, it started pretty quickly, streamed quickly, and I can turn it this way and do full screen. So that's pretty cool. Appropriate that it was an HTC advert anyway. So that's all fairly straightforward stuff. But if we go into the camera, and let's switch to 3D mode. Actually, can't do that right now because the power's too low. The power needs to run both of the cameras, which is a bit of a shame. And also, we'll take a look in here. You're not going to see much with just doing what, obviously I'm only using one video camera, so you're not really going to appreciate that too much anyway. So we'll look at the camera and do some videos and bits and pieces of the camera another time, and hopefully we'll also upload some 3D footage to YouTube so you can actually see what that's like. In terms of what else we've got here, we've got music with nothing pre-installed, but that's your music application. Places we do settings, locations, all pretty straightforward stuff. Connected media and dock mode. FM radio, which probably will only work with a wired headset, which indeed it does. Require a wired headset. And what else we got on here? You see watch, Tita transfer. Google Maps. So if I turn on wireless networks, it's got me to a reasonable degree of accuracy there. So it's evident about the rough location that we've got. So it's probably using a combination of Wi-Fi rather than GPS. But there we go, that's picked up. And then finally, take a look at Gmail. And because I've signed in, there we go. Because I've signed into Android Market, I've got my Gmail coming up there, and I've got my notifications and actually the email there to say that it's all come through. So that's all coming through there. Connected media, that's to do with the DLNA support and stuff like that. So you can actually stream media to a DLNA capable device, or actually indeed get a device that will work with this as well. So that's a very quick look at the HTC EVO 3D. We'll have a full review for you over the next couple of weeks. We'll try and upload some 3D video and also some 3D photos. So if you've actually got a compatible TV, video player or whatever device, then hopefully you can actually see them and get an appreciation for them. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's twitter.com/TracyandMatt or facebook.com/TracyandMatt.co.uk, and please do feel free to ask any questions about the EVO 3D, or in fact anything else that we're reviewing at the moment. We'd be happy to try and answer your questions, or indeed add anything that you'd like us to add to the review. I'll be back soon though with some more videos and reviews on TracyandMatt.co.uk, but for now, thanks for watching.